Trojan Sports Now.
Hello and welcome back to Trojan Sports Now. For this week's interview session, I am joined by head coach Neal Brown. So, Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So, first off, just to start with, how does it feel to be back in Troy?
Oh, it's exciting. You know, times have been a little hectic, but it's great. Reconnecting with a lot of familiar people, and the city's changed. The campus has changed a lot since I left back in 2009, but it's been a great experience so far.
And what did getting this job mean to you? I know you coached under Coach Blakeney, and he gave you your first start. Can you just talk about what this means?
Well, it's everything's coming full circle. You know, Coach Blakeney gave me my first opportunity as a Division I football coach in 2006, then again in 2008, gave me an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator first time. So be able to come back here and fill those big shoes. You know, I understand what I'm getting into. Larry Blakeney was Troy football, and he's going to continue to be a very active member of our program. I want him to be involved, and he will. But it's very gratifying for me to be a head football coach. This is one of my career goals, and to be able to do it at a place that's always won, like Troy, has made it even more exciting.
Speaking of being a head football coach, this is your first job as a head football coach. Just what does that mean to you, and what comes with that?
I'm trying to figure it out every day. No, it's been good. You know, just a lot more decisions. You know, that being the CEO of a major company is kind of what it's like. And like I said, I don't have all the answers. I know I didn't move from an offensive coordinator to a head coach role and automatically have all the answers. We're working on it. I'm lucky enough to hire a very experienced staff that I can lean on, a staff that has experience at other places as well. So I'll lean on those guys, and obviously being here, knowing a lot of the administration, those things have helped.
You said that, before you were offensive coordinator and at Troy you were. What's the difference now in being head coach? What kind of responsibilities are different now?
Well, I think there's just a lot more decisions, and you go from worrying about half the roster to the entire roster. And I think that's it. You know, the thing that I'm excited most about is being able to create a culture, being able to decide not only our staff but our players, the working environment, and what our goals want to be. So those are just some of the things that I'm really excited about.
And you were at Kentucky before now. How did you know Troy was the place for you and where you needed to start?
Well, you know, my wife and I are both from Kentucky. When we were working at the University of Kentucky, we were about 30 miles away from our hometown, which is Danville. And it would take a special place for us to leave. And when Coach Blakeney decided to step down, I just remember we were having dinner, and I told my wife, I was like, you know, that's be a great opportunity to start our head coaching career. And when things lined up and it worked out, we couldn't be more excited to come back to Troy.
And I know Troy means a lot to you and your family. Can you talk about why Troy means so much to you?
Yeah, well, it's really for professional and personal reasons. Troy was the first place that my wife and I moved when we got married. It's where we had our first child, our daughter, who'll be 7 here in a couple weeks. So really special on that end of it too. But then professionally, this is where, again, it's where I started my Division I career. It's where I had my first coordinating experience, and we won. You know, we won 4 conference championships during my 4 years here, and really put Troy football on the national map. And really, that's what I've came back to do is put us back in the national conversation where people talk about Boise State. We want to be that type of program on the East Coast.
And I know you're going to be the head coach, but you've also coached offense, and now you want to coach offense. Can you talk about why you want to be still the offensive person?
Well, we've had a lot of success calling plays. You know, that's something that I really enjoy. That's something that I really think I can affect the outcome of the game. Now, I couldn't do that unless I had a staff that I've worked with previously. And Coach Edenfield, who's been the offense coordinator here and will continue in that role, he'll be somebody that I really lean on. And he's got a lot of experience not only at Troy but at the University of North Alabama calling plays. So he'll still do a lot of the day-to-day work and be heavily involved. And then we hired an experienced offensive line coach, Matt Moore, who's been several different places, but he and I work together at Troy and at Texas Tech. So lean on those 2 guys, and then Sean Reagan's another guy that I worked with real closely, and then Shane Wasden. So all those guys, and then the last person on offense, Cornelius Williams, who played for us during that time. So a lot of familiarity with what we're doing. I'll give those guys a lot of responsibilities. But the main reason that I decided that I wanted to keep calling plays is because, number one, it's something I really enjoy doing. Number 2 is we've had a lot of success.
Now, looking forward to this upcoming season, what is your main focus? I know you have probably tons of focuses, but what's the main goal for you for this first season?
Well, I think it's simple. Is we've got to show improvement, and that's the season is so far off for me right now. Really what I'm really concentrating on, what our guys concentrating on, is how can we get better today. It's about getting better today, and if we get better today, tomorrow, how can we get better? So not only in the football, but how can we become better men? How can we do better in school? So just consistent improvement on a day-to-day basis right now.
I know earlier you mentioned Coach Edenfield and Coach Moore. Can you talk about why, they were at Troy before and now you're bringing them back, why those two specific men for offense?
Yeah, well, Kenny Edenfield is a Troy grad, won a national championship here, had a lot of success. He's done a great job since I left in the role of offense coordinator, and is a really strong recruiter also. And then Matt Moore, if you look at not only what he did here at Troy in 2006, helping us win our first conference championship, but then going to Texas Tech, having a team that was ranked number 1 or number 2 in the country for a lot of weeks there at Texas Tech, sending several O-linemen to the NFL. Several of those guys are still playing. And then not only that, but being part of a huge turnaround at Middle Tennessee, and then playing in the conference championship at Louisiana Tech. So he's got a long history of not only of developing really strong offensive linemen, but playing on really good offenses and winning games.
And then on the defensive side, Vic Koenig is coming back, to Troy. Can you talk about why you picked him and why you want him on your coaching staff?
Well, again, a lot of success. Myself being an offensive coach with an offensive background, wanted to hire somebody that had a lot of experience, who's been really successful, who could command that room. And Vic, he's been a head coach in the Division I level at Wyoming. And then he's been a defensive coordinator. Probably had the best defenses in Troy history when he was here as the defensive coordinator back in 03 and 04. And then he went on to Clemson and Kansas State, Illinois, and North Carolina, and had some of the best defenses in the country. The other thing, too, is when you're looking at his history, you'll see that he's really made drastic improvements. And on the defensive side is where we need to make the most improvements.
And now kind of go in a different direction. I know a new phrase or hashtag that's coming about is rebuild the wall. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, we want to get back to where we were. From 2006 to 2010, Troy was the preeminent program in the Sun Belt Conference. And the rebuild the wall, that comes from Adam Pendergraft, our sports information director. He came up with it. And it's a catchy slogan, but what it means in a nutshell is this. The city of Troy was under siege from the Greeks, and it was a 10-year battle. And the wall around the city of Troy basically defended. And the only way that the Greeks, who were the most powerful army in the world at the time, could enter the gates of Troy is they had to trick them. And the wall came down. So the walls came down a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to put up the wall again, rebuild the wall, take back Veterans Stadium, make it the toughest venue to play in our conference, and then rebuild that wall that was Troy as the preeminent program in the Sun Belt Conference.
So what are you hoping this new campaign or this new idea sparks or leads to with players and fans?
Yeah, we want to use it as a marketing ploy, not only to our fan base and all of our stakeholders, or its alumni, former letter winners, but also within our own team. Understanding that, hey, here's our history. And here's where we need to get back to.
Okay. Now, Coach, I have some fun questions to kind of get to know you better. So what is your favorite movie?
I'm going to go with Top Gun.
And why?
That's a great question. Why? I'm aging myself a little bit here, too. I don't know. It's got some great lines in it.
Okay. And what's your favorite food?
I'm going to go steak. I'm going to go to filet. I'll even go in detail with you, filet.
What about your favorite music?
Favorite music? I'm a country music fan, but I've got diversity now. I can listen to just about anything.
Will you make your players listen to country music to get ready for the game?
No. The new headphones, what are the Beats? We've kind of gone away from the locker room music. Everybody kind of uses their Beats, but I can listen just about anything. But if I had to turn to a radio station right now, I'd put on country.
Okay. And what's the last book you read?
That's the last book I read over the break. Well, I read the Cliff Notes version of Homer's Iliad to go along with my Rebuild the Wall. But no, I read, it's called The Soup by John Gordon.
Okay. And then what do you do in your spare time, or do you even have spare time?
Well, I've got 2 daughters and a son on the way, so I don't have a whole lot of spare time. But most of the time when I'm not working on rebuilding the wall, is now I've spent with my 2 girls. I've got daughters that are 3 and 6 and ready to be 4 and 7.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming season, and thank you once again for joining me.
All right, thank you.
And stay tuned for more Trojan Sports Now. We'll give you a preview of what's coming up in Troy Athletics.